All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to episode 101 of the On Air Advocate. Where at the On Air Advocate, we look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Tammy Flynn, and I am the host and producer of the On Air Advocate. And I am super excited if you are here joining us this afternoon or whether you are catching this on the replay. Oh, well, I am very excited because the holidays are almost over. I mean, and I love the holidays, but we all want to get into the new year, new beginnings. But yes, we are ready to reset and launch into 2019. And with that, I wanted to do a whole entire focus series that really looked at kind of that refreshing, refocusing, re-energizing, rejuvenating ourselves, and having the tools to do that not only for ourselves, but with our loved ones as well. So I am super excited to have one of my dear friends here, as well as amazing chiropractors, Dr. Miller from Sports and Wellness Chiropractic today. And so
Hi, Tammy.
to have you here again, especially right after the holidays, and it's been so crazy and busy. And you have some awesome tools to share with us on some exercises and some things we can do for our health and wellness as we kick off the new year. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the things that I think is really important, Tammy, especially as we're getting into the new year, is the fact that we're all under a lot of stress coming out of the holidays and jumping into the new year. And everybody's got New Year's resolutions or goals that they want to attack. And sometimes you're just drained coming out of the holidays. So I think one of the great things that we can talk about is how to re-energize yourself or how to manage some of that stress so that the goals that you want to attack or the things that you want to go after become a little bit more achievable. So oftentimes we hear about meditation, deep breathing, taking that time to step back as one of those tools. And I think that's incredibly important. But one of the things that I think is missed is getting your heart rate up and using a little bit more of a high intensity training or a high intensity cardio boost to help manage that stress. So one of the things that's really important with that is with higher intensity, getting your heart rate up, we get a lot of different things. We get improved insulin resistance, so we don't become as resistant to insulin, so we handle the sugars and the stuff we've been eating better. We also get neurotrophic factors into your brain, which are going to help you actually change the brain chemistry and handle anxiety, handle stress, develop more blood flow to the brain. There's just so many benefits to it. So just something to keep in mind. One of the things I tell my patients is when they're feeling stressed, take 10 or 15 seconds to do something that gets your heart rate up. And that's going to be different for everybody. So keep a jump rope at different places in your house. And maybe you do 10 or 15 seconds of quick jump roping. Or maybe you climb up and down your stairs a few times if you're working from home or you're at home with a loved one. Or maybe you get up and down off the floor just several times in a row. That is plenty of work to get your heart rate up nice and quick. So when you're feeling stressed, that 10 or 15 second window of really spiking your heart rate can have hours of relief and hours of changes in terms of anxiety, stress, and managing the condition.
And do you feel like that kind of rejuvenates you or sparks energy back?
Absolutely. Yeah, that midday slump, instead of going for your cup of coffee, do 10 jumping jacks or walk up and down the hall briskly, by your cubicle, or just do something for that 10 to 15 seconds. You're going to get a better energy boost. It's going to be much better than grabbing that cup of coffee that later you're going to have that tank from the caffeine.
Right, where you're going to go down. And I was just talking a lot about that, I mean, especially after the holidays and for this year that we were in the midweek and that everyone had to go back to work, or, a great majority of people the next day. We're all on this sluggish kind of like, oh.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's the hardest thing. I hear from people, I've been so busy, I haven't had time to do a full workout. And it's okay if you don't have time to go do an hour or an hour and a half at the gym. If you can get in 5 sets of 10 or 15 seconds over the course of the day, you can still get great benefits from it. Right. And 2 things I did want to point out with that. If you do have an anxiety disorder, or you actually have panic attacks or panic disorders, you do want to be cautious with that. You want to bring your heart rate up a little bit more gradually. So you may not want to do 10 or 15 seconds of max, but bring your heart rate up a little bit more gradually. And for most people, we're looking for your heart rate to get into the 70 to 85% range But if you do have that panic disorder or actual anxiety disorder, you might want to start down around the 60 range and then gradually progress up. But for most people, or for a lot of people, we can actually decrease medications or eliminate medications by using that high intensity exercise for anxiety and depression related disorders, because the power of the brain chemistry changes.
Now, would you advise anyone, or is there any adaptable tools, whether you're using your phone, or I know there's like obviously the Fitbits and things like that, so that people can gauge and know where their heart rate is at during the day, know when it's kind of slumping, know if they're in that percentile? Is there any device or tool that you like a lot that you think is very user-friendly, easy to acclimate to and understand? Because I think sometimes, especially if you're not computer savvy people, some of the different applications that are out there aren't quite as user-friendly. You know, I mean, they
Yeah.
are for some if you're into computers and whatnot, but if you don't mess around on that, some of those apps and devices aren't that user-friendly. Is there anything that you recommend that way?
I don't have anything in particular. I think it depends what you're using. If you've got something that you're already using, so if you're using a Fitbit, some of the models have heart rate monitors with them. If you're already using it, you're going to be a lot more likely to stick with it, usually user-friendly or not. So I don't really have anything in particular. I have a Garmin watch that also has a strap that goes around your chest. Those are going to be a little bit more accurate than the ones that test your heart rate off of your wrist. But the reality is you're probably not going to wear a heart rate monitor stress strap all day, every day. So that's one of my favorites. But in terms of what we're talking about here of getting it in throughout the day, I would say if there's something you're already using that has the capability, try to figure that out and work that into your everyday schedule.
Okay. So the beginning is what you're talking about, just getting your heart rate up during the day, a couple various times, things, whether it's sitting up and, getting up and down off the floor, whether it's walking stairs, doing brisk walking a little bit, really just to get that rejuvenation, lower stress levels, all of that.
Absolutely. And if you can replace your cravings with that, so we already talked about a cup of coffee, but a lot of people eat because of stress or because of boredom or because of tiredness. They're craving the sugars to give them that energy. So instead of going to the fridge and grabbing food, do 10 or 15 seconds of higher intensity exercise. Most of the times your craving will go away because that energy comes back up.
Right.
And then if you're still hungry or if you're still looking for that extra boost, then you can, go ahead and grab it. But it's a great way to kind of integrate it in and make it a big piece of your everyday routine.
Right. So eating this morning cheesecake, Simo's cheesecake,
Ooh,
probably.
delicious. I can't fault you for that, but
I
yeah,
mean,
but
it's in my fridge once it's gone.
exactly. Yeah, and
But yeah, it definitely doesn't wake you up anymore. It just makes you want to lay down.
right,
Um,
but it does give you that energy boost. So yeah, so I wanted to talk about that high intensity piece because we don't hear enough about it. And there's actually a great book out that I think can be a great resource for people.
Okay.
So after we get off of this, I'll post it for you. But it's called
Perfect.
Spark. It's written by John Rady, who's an MD. So he goes through everything from anxiety to depression to diabetes to learning and people in school and trying to learn new skills and how important exercise can be. And I think it's a great resource for people. It's written in a very understandable and entertaining way. And so it's a recommendation that I give to a lot of my patients.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So now you're going to take us through some exercises, right?
Yes.
All right.
So one of the things that I want to show is using a tool called a courageous ball. So I'm going to move back away from the screen so you guys can kind of see me. So,
and Dr. Miller, if you can just talk as loudly, I'm saying just so that the sound carries well, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Okay. So this is a courageous ball. This is from a line called Yoga Tune Up. I think I talked about them. I might have talked about them in our past
Can you drop
session.
that link below too?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So these balls, they're kind of squishy and soft. And one of the great things that we can use for this is our nervous system has two main autonomic sides. We have parasympathetic, which is kind of the rest, relax, and we have the sympathetic, which is the fight or flight. And when we're really feeling tired, sometimes we need to bring up into a little bit more of that sympathetic. We're too far parasympathetic. But a lot of people live in that fight or flight kind of response, which is going to drain us too. And these balls can be really effective to help us kind of work out either of those sides of the nervous system and try to bring them up or bring them down just a little bit. Right. So first, let's talk about that sympathetic, that fight or flight kind of piece. you have a lot of innervation through your belly and your abdomen. And this is an area that we don't often work or try to relax or tone down very often. We're always very focused on strengthening our core, which is very important, but we hold a lot of stress and tension in this area. So we can use these balls to get in there and kind of self-massage, self-work that area, alleviate a lot of the stress and tension, which can also take that sympathetic fight or flight nervous system and help tone it down a little bit because of all of the little sensor pieces of our abdomen. So I'm going to take you through a couple different exercises with this. So the first one is we can take the ball and we can actually lay on it. These balls work best if you put ball directly on skin. So I'm going to show you over my shirt, but if you're doing this at home, lift your shirt up and put it directly on your belly. You can lay flat on the ground, but the way I like to start is by putting it on a bench or a surface, kind of resting it into my abdomen and folding myself over it so that it gets nice and deep into my abdomen. And from here, I can just hang out and relax. And I can take really deep abdominal breaths. So I'm trying to pull air down into my belly. So from here, I can just relax and breathe and maybe do 8 to 10 breath cycles so that I'm kind of expanding that area. And then I can move the ball down a little bit lower in my abdomen, fold over, same thing. And you can work around the entire abdomen. You always want to get into that position and really deep breathe and kind of tone yourself down. For most people, you'll notice that it's pretty tender as you get started, which is one reason I like using the bench. If you're going to go flat on the floor, it's all or nothing. You either have whole body weight on it or you have nothing.
Right.
Whereas when you're on the bench or on a table, as you fold over, you can control and say, oh, that's too much. Maybe I need to rest on my elbows and just breathe here. Maybe I can take a little bit more load, or maybe I can totally relax over the ball. So that's a great way, first of all, if you just keep one of these in your desk drawer or in an area of your home while you're binging on Netflix or while you're doing something else, you can grab that ball, get it into your abdomen, and do your nice deep breathing. That's really going to help us kind of down-regulate and bring our body down into a more relaxed state. And sometimes that can be what we need to rejuvenate or to re-energize.
Right, right. That is
So
awesome.
continuing on with this ball, another way that we can go after this is through the side of our abdomen. So if you lay on your side, kind of curl over the ball this way. And again, I can stay up on my elbow if I'm really tender, or I can lay all the way down and flat, and I can use that to kind of self-massage through the side of my abdomen. And then from here, I can also do my really deep diaphragmatic breathing, getting my diaphragm really active and pulling the air down into my belly. And so as I take my nice deep breaths, and I don't know if you can see because I'm pretty far away from the camera, but you should see my abdomen extending up and forward, kind of in all directions. So as I take my nice deep breathing, again, we're getting that proprioceptive input. We're stimulating the little sensors inside your abdomen to help kind of regulate those back and forth.
That kind of like a rebalance.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So this is one of my favorite tools into the abdomen and into the side to kind of get a little bit of down regulation.
So right, would you do both sides when you're doing it?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Okay. And I usually recommend 8 to 10 breath cycles. So in and out is one, and do 8 to 10 of those on each side.
Okay. And then is there any way to use that ball in aid with any of our loved ones if we're a caregiver and we're caring for someone and maybe they don't have the abilities to be able to lean over it that way? Is there any other ways that you can utilize that ball maybe for those that need assistance?
That is a wonderful question. So these balls are also designed to be kind of, I don't want to say sticky or tacky, but they're designed to actually kind of grab fascia and skin and be able to kind of mobilize that skin and that tissue. So another great way that you can use these balls, again, that's why these are better on the skin. But let's say you're working with a loved one who can't get up and down. You could lift their shirt, put the ball on their skin, and I'll show you with my shirt. You'll be able to see as I twist or turn the ball, you can see it's dragging, in this case, my shirt, but if it's on the skin, it would actually be dragging the skin and the tissue with the ball. You can generate very good tension, just like we did flat by laying, by grabbing that tissue and just kind of pressing in a little bit and rotating, and then hold, and then have them deep breathe. You're doing the same thing. You're getting that sensory input, you're stretching and pulling the fascia, the skin, and you're getting that input while they're deep breathing. And then you can move the ball, of course, and go a different direction. So
Okay.
that's a great way that you can do it. And it doesn't take a lot of pressure. So you as the caregiver aren't overloading yourself to get
Okay.
into that.
And then would you do that same then on the side?
Yep. So you can just kind of rest in, add a little bit of pressure, and then add your rotation. And you're just trying to drag that skin or that tissue with you.
Okay. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
And then these can also be used to alleviate tension if people have areas of the body that are really sore. That upper back is one area that a lot of people carry tension in neck and upper shoulders. If you're the caregiver, you can do the same thing. You can press that ball into the skin on that area and add a little bit of rotation, and then have them again work on their deep breathing. But you can actually alleviate a lot of tension in the muscles and the fascia and the tissues by using this ball into the back, into the chest is an area a lot of people kind of get real tight from sitting here. So we can use the ball into the chest or even into lower areas of the neck. There's tons of YouTube videos, and I would highly recommend finding somebody who's a certified instructor or a class near you. I'll put the link, but on the Yoga Tune-Up site, you can find certified people that are teaching classes or doing one-on-one things in your area, or you can always utilize YouTube or a few things like that too.
Okay. So once you actually purchase a ball to be able to take it and learn, appropriate ways of using it, whether that's through YouTube videos, right? Or doing classes with it. So is it like a full exercise class that they offer with the balls, or is it like incorporated into some yoga?
Everybody's different in terms of how they're going to teach it or how they're going to utilize it. So we used to have somebody here on staff that did rest and rejuvenation classes. And so it was a whole half an hour, 45 minutes utilizing this ball and some of the other balls in the series. We also had more of a strength component that sometimes didn't use as much of the balls, was more of we'll call it a postural yoga class, where it was more of working on specific muscle imbalances to work through. So it just depends on the person who's teaching and what their area of expertise is, and kind of what their focus is.
Okay. All right.
I find them valuable just because they're relatively inexpensive, and the woman that started this, Jill Miller, is actually very, very knowledgeable and has developed a lot of really good stuff along the way to support their use in more of a therapeutic benefit.
Nice. So you're going to drop below on the book Spark, right? That you're kind of referring to, and then the ball, and maybe if you do have any like a top YouTube video that you've watched, or a tutorial, or maybe something from her on a segment to her link or whatever, we could drop that below as well. Would there be any other little things that, I know that we talked about really kind of getting started, the up and down the stairs, like getting your heart rate going, doing some things that way. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I think the biggest thing is just so many people get caught up in all or none, where it's, I didn't do it every day, or I didn't make it to the gym to do, my full routine. It's the fact that we have to take care of ourselves to take care of others. And something is better than nothing. So don't get caught up in, I couldn't do 8 to 10 breath cycles, I ran out of time, or I only got it in once today. Get it in where it fits in your life, but make it a priority, because if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of others.
That is so true. And make it accessible. Don't set yourself up for failure. And for the next probably about 2.5 weeks that we're going to be going through this 2019 kind of reset, we're going to be talking a lot about that. Purchasing a ball, having it on hand, having some ideas already at home. Hey, I have the stairs that I can do, or what I'm saying, I have this bench I can use. When you're in the car, I always keep like a box of nutrition bars, there. So when you're hungry, a lot of times some of it is that we set ourselves up for failure.
You have to,
because we don't prepare.
Right. And if it's not convenient, it becomes too difficult to stick to it.
To follow through. And when we talk about this in the light of being a caregiver, what do caregivers do? All we do is plan for someone else all day long, and we have their med bags and their medications and whatnot, but so much of the time we don't do that for ourselves. So I think this is so vital and important, and really important at the beginning of any year as we start to really kick it off that way, and to find things that we do carry through. Now I know there's some things that taper off, but if you can even keep 5 of the things. If you set 30 goals and you can keep 5 of them to 7 of them each year, at least you're making progress.
Absolutely. And
You
if you
know?
make small changes and build it into a habit, then it becomes easier. You know, it's the domino effect of you push one domino, and by the time you're done, you have the whole thing. You didn't do it by knocking down all the dominoes. You did it one at a time, small steps, and it builds.
Mhm. Yes. Is there anything else from Miller Sports and Wellness Chiropractic that is new, upcoming, any classes, anything we should know about that way, or is everything on the website and we can drop that below?
We have tons going on. So the website's the best place to get the info. We've actually added 5 providers in the last 5 months. We have multiple new services, everything from dietetics to mindset training to just lots of different really cool stuff going on. We've got classes, we've got individual education series. So the website's the best place to check it out because there's so much going on. It's kind of hard to highlight any one thing.
Anyone think? All right, perfect. Well, we will make sure to get that website drop below so that everybody can have access to that information. And I know you are always open. If somebody is listening and they do not live here in the state of Wisconsin where you are located and they do have any, pertinent questions or they need to just toss something off of somebody, you're always open to somebody sending something in through your inquiry spot on your website, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Shoot me an email or jump into our inquiry spot on our website, and I'm happy to try to help hook you up with somebody in your area or at least help you find some resources. Never a problem.
Perfect, Dr. Miller. I'm so excited. I was like, you are the best to kick this off. I'm excited about the new year coming and all the new things that you guys have going on at your wellness center as well. So with that, you guys, have a great rest of this holiday week going into New Year's. I will be on New Year's Eve in the morning. So we got some great interviews that are coming up these next couple of weeks. So just stay tuned. I'll be posting all the stuff on that. If you want to know any other information about the On Air Advocate or our services, you can go to onairadvocate.com. If you would like to be part of our private community, head up to the top of this page, click the blue button, and request to be inside of our private group. And so on that note, thank you so much for taking your lunch hour with us today,
Yes,
Dr. Miller.
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. And on that note, you guys have a fabulous Thursday. Talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.